What's up, everybody?
Hey there.
Hey, y'all. So I'm Road Digger,
And I'm Bijou Star.
and we are here to welcome you to Mothering Together as we focus on a strong community of mothers.
Yes, and this is an original podcast, a part of the Maternal Outreach Movement that's powered by Birthing Beautiful Communities. And today, guess what, guys? We are diving into birth stories.
Yes, I love it. We're going to get real personal and share our stories and just, get some of the questions answered that might be on your mind or maybe things you've never known, but the ups and downs, all the good stuff and everything in between. And joining us today, we have a special guest, and that is the CEO of Birthing Beautiful Communities, and that is Jazmin Long. Jazmin, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Hi,
Hey,
Jazmin. How are you?
Good. How are you, ladies?
we are
Doing
good.
good.
Thank you.
Looking beautiful.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Likewise. Um, Today we're focusing on birth stories, and that can look different for so many women. So we want to thank you for being a part of today's conversation as we dive into a little bit of everything and share some of our personal stories. If somebody first with their birth story,
You know what? You're breaking up a little bit, Ro.
I
Can
am.
you, Jasmine? Is it just me?
No, she's breaking up. I couldn't
Yeah,
hear
we
it.
break. So what did you just say? Say that one more time. And mind you guys, we are doing this podcast. This is live for you all. So you guys are getting this raw and uncut. Okay.
Yes.
This is our first one. So bear
Yay.
with us if there are any little hiccups. Okay. We're getting it perfect for you though.
Yeah, not me breaking up. Okay, am I still breaking up?
No, you're good
No.
now.
What was that about? Okay, so basically saying, just thank for being a part of the story today. We're going to talk about our birth stories, and that can look different for so many different women. Questions and conversations and topics that, will help us kind of like one, just really relate to each other's birth stories, but also maybe inspire and encourage other women who are either pregnant, looking to be pregnant, and might have some concerns and questions about like, oh my God, what do I expect? Right. But I wanted to see who wanted to share their birth story first.
All right. Well, I'll just start because shout out to Birthing Beautiful Communities. I had my doula through them. Yes, for both of my kids. So I was blessed to have the experience of having a doula with me because my goal was to have a natural birth with no medical interventions. And there was a medical intervention that did happen, but it was not the one that I wanted. It was what made it a harder natural birth, which was I was induced both times. So that gave me a little additional pain. We'll just say it is, but I still my goal of not using any pain medication. So I did not have an epidural, but that Pitocin is no joke. All right. So for those who have had children and you had to be induced, that is the process of that. That's when they kind of force what are they the contractions. They don't kind of happen naturally. Either you have to have that for an emergency purpose, or if you're a high risk pregnancy and they want the baby to come on a certain date. There's a lot of different reasons why you'll be induced potentially, but that is an additional intervention. But like I said, with my doula there with me, Miss Deborah. Does Miss Deborah still work with you guys?
It sure does.
I love Miss Deborah.
Hey,
Okay,
Miss Deborah.
and I think that's the blessing in a doula because I had never had a kid before, especially the first one. The first one never had a kid. But point I'm trying to make here is somebody who has been around a million births can kind of foresee some things because there's even though every birth is different, there's some similarities, right? So having someone there who could say, yeah, this, and this, and that's what I wanted because I had a baby right at the time when the news article came out about Cuyahoga County and the death of minority women in childbirth. And I went in there like, y'all not gonna kill me today. So
Yep.
we're gonna talk about it. And I'm not being funny. I was very sincere. I came with
I
gifts
feel
for
you.
nurses. Listen, I had some cookies. Y'all hungry? We friends, okay? But on top of that, I had a doula there she knew the language that I didn't know. And that was the other side of it. Some things that were happening. I mean, she even knew when I was actually about to give birth when they had no idea. She was like, the baby's about to come. Call your parents. Tell them to get out the bed. That baby's, and when I said that baby was in her 30 minutes, type of thing, because that intuition, knowing what's going on. So yeah, like I said, having a doula was amazing for me personally. But natural births, that is a thing. That is an experience, I might say, a very very deep and spiritual experience. But I'm very thankful that I did go through it. And I don't know why I did it twice, child. I'm crazy. One time was enough. Twice was outrageous.
Because you forget after the first time until you get in that second time. Then you're like, oh, wait, I remember this
I
again.
remember. I think I was my mother did. And I'm like, she can't handle no pain. I know I can do this. Man, what? Lies. Okay. But go ahead, Ro. What's your story?
Yeah, and you mentioned doula, and I know that that is something very familiar to a lot of women, so we'll dive into that too. But as for me, I tried, y'all. I had the big head. I said, oh, I'm going natural. I was like, I want to feel everything. I want to know everything. And so my birth plan was to go natural. In fact, my birth plan was to have a pool birth. I wanted
Water
to
birth. Yeah, me
be in the
too.
water. So my doctor was like, okay, well, we'll have the pool. You got to bring the hose. You got to bring this. And I was prepared. Like, we had the hose, we had everything. I, like you, had to as well. And it wasn't for any complicated reason. I think she was just like, no, like, you're right where I want you to be. We don't want to wait any longer. And so she was like, this is your due date. We're just going to induce you. So I got induced and I tried, y'all. I made it to 7 centimeters. And I was like, I'm tripping. Epidural now. And I never made it to the water birth. Never even did it. I was just like, I was comfortable on the bed. I was comfortable in the space. Like, I love my doctor. She's been my OBGYN since I've been living in Ohio. She birthed all my sister's babies. So for me, it was just like, we family, which I was very thankful to have. Very comfortable, and she let me play Michael Jackson while I was giving birth, so that was like raw because I needed to just be in my element, in my zone. And y'all know how I feel about MJ. So anyway, yeah, I ended up getting the epidural at 7 centimeters, and from there it was pretty much just, I mean, if you had epidural, you don't really feel too much, except the whole left side, for I don't know whatever reason, I felt stuff on my left side, if that makes sense. My body, like, that didn't completely go numb, so there natural feeling, but it wasn't to the point where I couldn't, do what I needed to do, pushing my child out. But overall, I would say that I was very, very pleased with my birth story. I really did want to experience it natural. I don't know. I just really wanted to feel what that ring of fire felt like. I know that sounds crazy, but I did. I was like, huh?
I didn't know about the ring of fire until the ring of fire hit me. Girl, I'm screaming, asking, what is that? What is happening? And somebody next to me, like, it was like everybody swears this woman did not exist. I say, a woman leaped and said in my ear, that's the ring of fire, pushed through the burn.
You got pushed through the burn.
I was like, yes, they did.
I wanted to feel that, Bijou. As crazy as that sounds. Yeah, I wanted to feel that, but I ain't feel it. So
yeah, that's what I could have omitted.
Jazmin, what was your birth story like?
So actually, I'm not a mom, and I love listening to you guys speak because, I mean, it truly speaks to the essence of why we do what we do at BBC. 2 totally different birth experiences, but aligned with some of the same fears, excitements, and joys. And so I am a doula, so I've attended births, and I love to be able to support women and birthing people through that experience, because it is so important. And Bijou, you hit on such an important part. I've been at this organization for about 6 years now, and that's when the data started coming out more, both locally and national, about maternal mortality. And I think a lot of women were faced with a lot more anxiety because of that. And so the doula's role really and truly is to help you feel like you're coming into this hospital and you're coming home with your baby, right? And so that we're there to take that stress off of you. And so you both share very beautiful stories. And like, this is just what it's all about, is supporting moms through whatever their choice is. And I love that you said you wanted to go natural, but you had the epidural. It doesn't make your birth any less different than Bijou's, right? Like, everybody's birth is an important thing, because I think that's another fear that people have, is like, what happens when you have to have a C-section unexpectedly? So all of these things, it's your birth, it's your birth story, and it's still powerful and impactful. And so I just cherish being able to hear things like this.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned the doulas helping to kind of like over communicate things during the whole birth procedure and stuff like that. And Bijou, to your original point, like, you went into your birth with a fear immediately, right? And I think we all kind of have like some reserve, like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to be okay? Like, you just never know, right? You're praying for this beautiful, healthy, smooth transition, but sometimes things happen, things can go wrong. So when you're talking about your birth story and we're talking about the fears and the concerns, how do mothers, whether it's with their doctor, their doula, their partner, themselves, the nurses, how do they get these fears and concerns out so that there is this, overall just calm and just understanding of what your birth plan looks like, but how it can also kind of deviate too?
Absolutely. And I think it's important we recognize that the role that medical racism plays in all of this. And so I always think it's important for clients or moms to have that support person to help them, to your point, Ro, translate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always use the example of like, how many times have we gone to the doctor's office and we had a burning question that we did not ask until our hand was on the door? Because we think that the doctors always know best. Sometimes we're embarrassed to ask a question. Sometimes we think that they're going to look at us as less than because we don't know what the ring of fire is, or we don't know what an epidural is, or we don't know what those things are, when in fact it is their duty and their obligation to educate us. And so the role of the doula, in addition to attending that labor and delivery, is to like put your hand on your back and say you are supported. Like, don't be afraid to ask your question. This is your appointment. You're paying to be here. And so you get any question that you have out, even getting them to go before you go to the doctor's appointment, write down your 3 questions. Don't be afraid to ask them if I'm not in the room with you. So again, it's a lot about encouraging our community. We know that it just sometimes being in the presence of medical professionals is scary. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter our socioeconomic status. Like, this is a very real thing in our community. And so just being able to be a support system, I think, is so important.
Yeah. And I want to just add to what you're saying as far as advocating for yourself when you're dealing with medical professionals, because they come off sometimes as though you don't know anything and they know everything. Mm-hmm. And your gut is going to tell you if something doesn't feel right most times. And a lot of times you have to trust yourself. Though you didn't go to school for this specific thing, they are practicing medicine, correct, meaning they don't know everything. And I actually had to change my OBGYN at the last, when I say the last 2 weeks before I had a baby, with my second one, because it was a group and I didn't like how something was communicated to me about what I had my plan from my birth. I didn't like how it was communicated. I didn't like how it was treated in that time. And I said, guess what? I don't have to. This is when
that's so powerful, because so many times we don't do that. Like, so many times people don't know that they can change their healthcare provider. Yes. That they, even in 2 weeks, even a week before your baby's due, right?
I was literally right there. And it was, I happened to call to make an appointment with someone who I had been referred to use, because I was like, I want a midwife. I want a midwife. And just look how God works. The operator who I called to make the appointment gets to talk to me about her birth story, just randomly. She's like, oh, I'm going to tell you exactly who you need. I'm going to get you with my midwife, and tells me her story. And I got on her books. And it never normally happens like this, but she ended up delivering my child. And, it just so happened she was on the clock, it was her shift. And when I was having my daughter, and it worked out, and I had literally changed. So I was almost there. And I was like, I don't care how people feel. I'm switching. I don't like what just happened in this office, and I'm changing doctors, period. Yeah. And that's just what I do. You have to stand up for yourself. And there's a situation that just doesn't sit right with you, because it's your body and it's your child.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know your body.
So how do you feel BBC helps with the preparation of birth? I know I have my experience. I actually wrote my birth plan with a BBC doula.
Yes, so we do help our clients initially with their birth plan. We have, since the pandemic, gone back to having more in-depth parenting classes. We do birth ball coaching. That's another technique that you can use in the natural labor process, is really thinking about that. And a lot of it is mental. And so we really work with the clients, particularly when they say that they want to have the natural birth up front. We help them to be able to understand what that's going to entail, and to give them the strength to know that they can do it. Sometimes you just need somebody to encourage you that you can do it. But then also preparing for the unexpected C-section, preparing for the, I'm 7 and I don't want to do this anymore. Are you sure? Okay. We really honor what the client wants, and we help to encourage them to meet those goals. And then again, we are the only agency that actually attends the labor and delivery of its clients. And so that means, like, we're always going to be with you at the doctor's appointments and things such as that, but we are in that room to support you when you're actually going through the birthing process. And I think that is what truly stands out about our work. And it's what makes the difference in the lives of the clients that we serve. And it's why we have the incredible outcomes. Like, when you understand that infant mortality is a major crisis in Cuyahoga County and Summit, where we work, and we have a 99% infant survival rate and 100% maternal survival rate in this program. Something I'm incredibly proud about, something that I get up every day and work to ensure moms are able to have the birth that they want and that my team is able to fulfill that. So that's how we help out. We provide education, we provide advocacy, we provide support. We have a behavioral health arm, really making sure that moms are tapping into anything that is around postpartum. We stay with the moms until they're a year old. We stay with our teen clients until they're 22. It is very important for us that their baby is not a barrier to their success and that they know that they can still be successful even though they're a teen parent. And we wrap our arms around our babies. This is about, our slogan is "It takes a village," because it really does take a village to raise children, as you both know. Working moms, you need support systems all around you in order to make sure that your kids are thriving in a safe environment while you have to go out and do what you got to do to provide for them. And so that's the realities of many women in Northeast Ohio, many families in Northeast Ohio, and we really try to foster that.
Yeah. And I also wanted to touch on what BBC does as far as, I know people look at doulas, even I did initially, and thinking this is something I can't afford. Oh, it looks cool, on TV or on social media, but it's not accessible. But I love, because what you all have done is made something that was initially inaccessible to very accessible to people of lower socioeconomic status. And I love that about BBC, because you all do not charge for your services. And like you said, you all actually are there for people who may be in situations that are less than ideal up until pregnancy. And I think that is what makes BBC so special, is because of the accessibility that you all have, that people can actually come to you all. And also, like you said, the postpartum part, I think, is such an integral part of what you offer, because I remember when I had problems breastfeeding, I had a breastfeeding specialist come to me and help me with it.
Yeah. Well, what we often say is, like, Black women, we're the CEOs of our families many times, right? So that means that we may be responsible for ourselves, our children, maybe a brother, sister, auntie, uncle, mom, dad, right? And so we always want to make these services free of charge as long as we can, because I have to make the choice between a doula costing $1,500 to $2,000 or helping my family out of this situation. And we know, again, regardless of socioeconomic status, we are at highest risk for infant and maternal mortality. And so we want to remove any barrier that would stop someone from saying, I can't do this. And Bijou, I'm like, okay, did you go on the website? But of course you got the services. So
I was there. And I would talk to Miss Deborah, because it meant so much to me that I had no idea that you existed, and when I learned about it, I was like, this is an amazing program that people need to know is here for us.
Yeah. And we're so proud of that, because again, we've just grown by leaps and bounds. I think 2020 was a pivotal year for us to say, like, we're done dying, right? Like, we are done suffering at the hands of systems, and we're going to take this in our own hand. We're an agency of 99% Black women working to save the lives of other Black women in our community and babies in our own backyards. We all live in Cleveland neighborhoods. We all are invested in the survival of Black women and our people. And we want to see healthy, strong, whole communities. So I appreciate you and Ro, like, sharing with us. And Ro does a lot of work with us when we do our breastfeeding. Every year we try to highlight for Breastfeeding Week. Yeah. We have an 86% breastfeeding initiation rate in our program, as compared to about 56, 57% nationally for Black women. So we're encouraging Black women to breastfeed. We're letting them know that you can do this. We're helping them with coming to their houses if they need us to come. We will do anything. That's what makes our program, again, more grassroots. We will do anything that a mom in this program needs us to do in order for her survival and her baby's survival.
I love it. And that's why you guys are so special. I mean, Bijou, you said it, you nailed it. Just the intimacy that you have with your clients, and you could just tell that you guys really are a family about what you do. And I love that. And I'm so thankful that our community has birthing beautiful communities, because I can't say that I didn't know about doulas or midwives. I just didn't think about it. Actually, like, I'm about to have this baby.
Well, we can't hear you. You went blank. You went stuck on us.
People just kind of have this image of what giving birth looks like, but it's different, right? And everybody kind of has their vision, even down to where you have your baby. I know people who have had home births, literally, like in a tub, or it might not have even made it to the tub because it was just labor's on, baby's coming out, they right there on the floor, right? You have people who are preparing to go to birth centers. And then again, like I said, I just naturally knew I was going to be in a hospital. I didn't think nothing else about it. But what would you say to somebody who's unsure of where to kind of give birth, because there are some misconceptions about places outside of hospitals. People feel like, oh, well, if I'm, at this location, or if I'm in my home, am I truly safe? Because what if there is an emergency? Who's taking me to the hospital? Like, there's misconceptions and there's fears and concerns surrounding that. So for someone who's a little bit uncertain of where they should have their birth, what would you say to them?
Absolutely. So I think it's important, if you want to really explore your options. And now we have even more African-American midwives who are doing home births in Cuyahoga County specifically. There are about 3 or 4 who recently started, not recently, I should say, but in the past few years have really been an uptick in, again, people leaving hospital systems and saying that this is what they want to do. And that midwife can help assess your situation and determine if you're a candidate for a home birth. But what the other cool part about it is, let's say that they determine you're not a candidate for home birth, you can still receive services through them if you don't want to go into a hospital until you have your baby. And again, I think Bijou's story is perfect. You get to shop around, you get to interview your doctors. Yeah. Like, it's not their privilege, right? Like, it's your right to determine. Okay, thank you. And happily. So and so that is a real thing that you get to shop around, but also just trusting our bodies to do what we've been doing from the beginning of time. 85% of women have an acuity level to deliver at a birth center or to deliver at home with a certified nurse midwife. And so just re-educating our communities about what we have traditionally done as a people was to have midwifery-led births and things such as that. And so that has been really medicalized and turned into the OBGYN profession, which, again, there are some people who can't have those kind of low-risk intervention births, but there are many of us who can. And so just determining what is best for you, what is best for your family. We're opening what will be the only freestanding birth center in Cuyahoga County in the next 18 months. And we're excited to see women come in from all over, because I know that people want options around their birth. Yeah. People want to have a say in what is happening with them. And sometimes people really want a family experience. So I'm, as you can imagine, Bijou, people tell me their stories all the time too. And it's like, when they know what I do, they want to share their birth stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And so I have had people say that they had a home birth with all of their children around and their partner. And it was a spiritual experience of bringing their baby into the world with their family by their side. So people want these kinds of things. So it's just about, one, making it available. Things like this maternal outreach program is going to really help. Movement is going to help that, because we're going to have the resources listed out so folks know what's actually available to them, and that they can seek out different kind of alternatives and options. And of course, we're always here as a resource. Like, people call us all the time, and we're able to help send them to other providers, help introduce them to certified nurse midwives who can deliver their babies, as well as we partner with an organization called Village of Healing that does midwifery-led care at their center in Euclid, and we're able to send people to them as well. Those are our sisters over there. We really work collaboratively, because, again, no one organization is going to solve this issue completely, and it takes a village, right, to be able to save our families.
Yeah. Right. Now, I know we didn't really touch on C-sections that much, but like you said, everything, everybody's story is different. You go in thinking it's going to be one thing, and then emergencies happen. And sometimes that, has to be a thing. And then also, I think we think that we can't advocate for ourselves in those situations as well. And that is, like I said, those are case-by-case situations. Yep. But I think having a doula there with you, who can, like I said, sometimes decode the language that's being spoken, can help you avoid a C-section potentially, because I was on the verge of having to have an emergency C-section with my second, because I was high risk for both of my pregnancies. But at the same time, because I had someone saying, okay, you're going to have to get up and start walking around and get this baby on down. Are they going to take this baby? You got to understand there are a lot of things that potentially, you can do having a knowledgeable person there with you, or you just having the knowledge yourself, right? Yeah. To speak up for yourself. There are fears that a lot of times people are giving unnecessary C-sections. It's just about educating yourself.
Yeah, and I would just say on that note that it's important to know that, like, there are some doctors who specialize in things like VBAC. I mean, that's a vaginal birth after a cesarean. So some people have to have a cesarean, but then they want to have a natural birth afterwards. And sometimes it is not feasible, but sometimes it is. And so again, it's about finding doctors with the specialty to do what you actually want to have done with your body, right? And talking to them about your options. Again, this is why I just love doulas, because we are there to translate. Like, I wish I had off the top of my head.
Translator. I swear, it's a translator. I will admit to that. Yes.
It is, because you're in that moment terrified, right? Your partner is sometimes terrified because they want their partner to come home, right? They don't want you in distress, right? So that's causing more anxiety, causing your toxic stress levels to go up, causing your blood pressure to go up, leading to more interventions, right? And so those are the things that are happening in real time that the doula can actually, I have heard stories of our doulas being like, stop, putting everybody out the room and letting mom, dad talk about what they want to do, and then bringing the providers back in. Because sometimes it feels so rushed that you are feeling like you're pressured to make a decision, and the doulas can really help slow things down. Again, the doulas really are medical translators. Like you said it.
It helped me so much.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Real quick, just want to remind everybody, first of all, thank you guys for joining in our conversation. This is something that we're going to do often. We're going to have real conversations, the ups and downs, the in-betweens, all of that. We're going to get real, raw, and uncut. But this is because I feel like these conversations have to happen. A lot of times, you know, we talk to our spouses, our partners, we talk to our parents, we talk to the doctor, but that's where it stops. And it's like there's this whole community that can just really truly benefit from all this good information, especially Birthing Beautiful Communities and what you guys offer to the community. So just want to remind you guys to join us, the Maternal Outreach Movement, powered by Birthing Beautiful Communities. You can do that right now and for any episode at zhiphopcleveland.com /mom, and then also wzakcleveland.com/mom. Moving right along, the C-section conversation keeps coming up, right? And it's very sensitive for some people because it's also very scary because it's a surgery. It's a procedure where some things have gone seriously wrong for couples during their birth plan, right? So let's just jump into that. Some people elect to have a C-section. For some people, it's like, it's given. It has to happen. It's kind of like one of those emergency situations. What would be the reason for either one of those?
So there again, as
you elect it, or it's an emergency situation.
I mean, there are, again, several reasons for an emergency. Again, like we just talked about, it can be your blood pressure is really high, so the doctors are worried about you being able to deliver. It can be the baby is not turned right side down and they feel like they have to take the baby by C-section. If, to Bijou's point, you're not able to turn that baby around. And that is also something that doulas can work with moms on, is trying to, there are several different techniques to try to turn a baby around so that they're head down and not butt down. Your baby could be contorted. I mean, there could be a cord wrapped around it. There are so many different things that could happen, which again, leads to the stress that moms are feeling, and then you have to go back and have that C-section. There are things like many of us have uterine fibroids or endometriosis, and if you've had a surgery to remove fibroids, have them ablaze, things such as that, have the surgeries for endometriosis, then doctors may say that you don't have the acuity level to now deliver vaginally because you've already had a surgery down there, so on your stomach. So those are things that like immediately come out to mind with me, but there are some doctors who are willing to do let you try to have a vaginal delivery even with those. But again, they're assessing the risk of mom, they're assessing the risk of the baby, and that becomes the most important thing. How's the baby's heart rate, which is why they're monitoring you, they're monitoring your stress levels, because as your stress levels increase sometimes, so does your blood pressure. And so they're looking out for all those kind of health indicators to ensure that you can deliver. But there are just so many, there's hundreds of things that could happen that could lead to an unintended C-section, but there are a lot of things that, again, you already had a C-section once. Some people's frames are too small to deliver their baby, so you might be 5 foot, 100 pounds, and your baby's 9 pounds, and so they're going to say that you can't push that baby out because just not possible. So there are a ton of different reasons for scheduled C-sections and unintended C-sections.
So once again, we want you guys to watch all of the episodes of Mothering Together, wzakcleveland.com, and of course, zhiphopcleveland.com/mom and wzakcleveland.com/mom. Let me add that part. We gotta wrap this up. We're not gonna hold you all day, Jazmin. But what are some tips that you can give to expectant moms as they prepare to bring life into the world?
Yeah, again, I really do encourage everyone to have a doula. They are a support person that can really help you to be able to get through this process with education. They are there to be an advocate for you. And I think it was Ro who said this a little bit earlier. You know, we talk to our partners, we talk to our parents, we talk to our friends, but they don't always have the best advice to give us, right? And, you know, this is a trusted person who is there just for you. Like, even though we're there for a partner as well, we are here to make sure the mom has whatever she, they, them need to be able to bring life into this world and to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel heard. How often as Black women do we just not feel heard? And that's even intensified sometimes in the healthcare setting. That is our role. So my biggest advice, of course, that I can give is to call a doula wherever you are. There are now programs all over the country providing doula services free of charge to expectant moms, because we recognize that this is a true intervention that saves lives.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And also, how can basically the expectant moms prepare for their postpartum period?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's another one of those tricky things, because you can think you're all the way prepared. So what I want to encourage moms to know is that whatever you're doing is good. You're taking care of your child is good, and you prepare for that. But if you're struggling, it's okay too. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to have those baby blues, but just know that there are also resources to support you through that period as well. So we even support moms through the postpartum if they don't join our program and have the baby with us. So if you're recognizing that you need some behavioral support, we have a program called Our Wellness Network, which is a network of 37 African-American grief recovery specialists, clergy and lay people, and also licensed therapists who can really provide support to wrap around moms so that they're not having these moments of being alone. Social isolation is still a very real thing, and we want people to know that they are supported.
I love that. I love that. You guys offer so many amazing resources. This has been really eye-opening. Just great to hear other people's stories, and also hearing, even though I experienced it, all the amazing work you guys continue to do there at Birthing Beautiful Communities.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, thank you guys. So real quick, there are resources for our community, okay? And that right here is clear with Jazmin and Birthing Beautiful Community. So please make sure that you are getting your education, having the conversations, and just, like Bijou said, listening to yourself, being firm with what it is that you want for yourself and your birth plan, and even post-birth plan, especially with what you guys provide. So please make sure you guys reach out to BBC and just get started having the birth plan that you desire, okay? Mothering Together is an original podcast series, part of the Maternal Outreach Movement, powered by Birthing Beautiful Communities. So like Bijou said, please make sure you check for us at zhiphopcleveland.com, wzakcleveland.com/mom. And yeah, share, all that good stuff, and be back for the next one. If you have any questions, share those as well so we can address them. Because again, this is all about us, our experience, and how we can, just be relatable and inform each other about birth and being mothers and parenting and all that good stuff.
Thank you again, Jazmin.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. Till next time.